Hey everybody, welcome to Tea with Brittany Lea. I'm so excited to have everybody on here with me today. We just had such a great turnout, and I just want to thank everybody for making time to come and have tea with me. And my special guest today, Michelle Smith, who she works at VRM and she is our help desk guru. So welcome, Michelle. I'm so glad to have you on today.
Thank you, Brittany. I'm glad to be here.
So I just want to take a couple of seconds and just introduce Michelle to everybody so that you guys can get to know her. Michelle is pictured over here on the right with the slide. That's her and her husband Bob and her daughter Kara, and Kara is 3.5 and sassy to boot. I just love her. She's so cute. And sometimes we have the blessing of hearing her in our morning meetings for our staff, and she's just adorable. So and then over here on the left, Michelle actually has a picture of her whole family. Now, Michelle, that was your youngest brother, I believe you said, right? That
Yes, that was my youngest brother's wedding this past summer.
that's so lovely. You have such a nice family. You guys all look so beautiful.
Thank you.
Love it. And Kara with her cute little blue dress. Oh my goodness, she is just.
She had a lot of fun.
I love her curly hair. So I guess she got her curly hair from you.
Yes.
She's like your spitting image. My goodness, she's just so cute. I just love it to pieces.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, we have a lot to go over today, but as always, I always want to start and let everybody know what kind of tea I'm drinking. So over Christmas, it was funny because my mom, she likes to give personalized gifts, and so this year she got us just a big stocking, and so we opened it, and I was, looking through mine, and she was like, "Oh, I just love that you're doing this tea with Brittany Lee thing. So I got you all this tea stuff, and it was just so adorable. I opened it, and there were like 5 or 6 different kinds of tea in there. There was like steeping pots and cups and like, I mean, just anything you can imagine for tea. She put it in there along with a little like tea facts book. And one of the facts in the book actually said that people who drink tea are much more calm by nature. So I was like, well, that's good. I could definitely use a little bit of a dose of that. But she actually gave me this new tea that I wanted to tell everybody about today. It is Ambessa, and it's from World Market, and I don't have one near me, so that kind of made me cry a little bit when I tried this tea because it's called Velvety Choco Nut Blend, and it's chocolate nut black tea. Oh my gosh, seriously, it tastes like you're drinking chocolate. It's amazing. I just love it. And so I cried a little bit when I had my first sip because I was like, I'm never going to be able to buy this again. So that's my little tea adventure for today. So but since we have a lot to go over, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Michelle and let her go ahead and talk to you guys all about 1099s and how to do them in the VRM system. And just keep in mind that Michelle is not a tax professional, so she's not here to give tax advice. She's not here to talk to you about how to do all of that. She's here to let you know how to work the VRM system to your greatest advantage so that 1099s are easy to use. And yeah, so take it away, Michelle. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, thank you, Brittany. I'm happy to be here. So, I'd like to go over today the review process, processing, printing, and creating a media file for your 1099s. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Want to start at the beginning, and that's setting up your 1099s. So there's two different ways that can be done depending upon your business. If you just have one office or you have multiple offices that all use the same tax ID number, then you would set up your 1099s by going to System Configuration, Financial, Miscellaneous tab, set 1099 setup for all offices. You would check that box and then click on the 1099 setup button. And that'll populate this screen here for you to put in your company information. If your company has multiple offices that all use different tax ID numbers, then you would still do step one, but here you would uncheck this 1099 setup for all office button, and hit Save. That will remove this 1099 setup button, and then you would want to go to System Configuration, Company, Offices tab, select your office one at a time, and click 1099. And the screen that populates once you click 1099 is the same, where you can enter your company information. The combined federal and state filing checkbox here only needs to be checked if you are set up to file electronically with the IRS. If you are set up to file electronically, you would check that box and then enter your transmitter control code, which is provided to you by the IRS. The next slide, the next thing we want to look at is the 1099 info tab. So this is located under Accounting 1099's, 1099 info tab. This is where we populate our 1099 information. So you would select your tax, select your tax year, and then if you are set up for all offices, you won't have an option here for offices. It defaults to all offices. Versus the screenshot here on the right is when you have your offices set up separately. Again, that's only if they use different tax ID numbers. You would select your office, then use the drop down to select the office and populate the tax year. Now we want to go into the review process. The first thing we ask clients to review is your basic owner list and your basic vendor list, and also your travel agent profiles. So what you want to check on these is you want to make sure all your owner information is correct, as well as all your vendor information. The social security number or tax ID number is in there correctly. And something important if you're filing electronically is the state is not spelled out, it is abbreviated correctly. And that's for your owner profile. Your vendor profile, one additional thing that you want to review is if the print 1099 box is checked. So on the vendor profile, you have a print 1099 box available, which only needs to be checked if that vendor requires a 1099. If you find any discrepancies, anything needs to be changed, that will be done on the owner or vendor profile. Once that information has been reviewed, then we want to populate our 1099s and print the 1099 summary. So to do that, we again go to Accounting, 1099s, 1099 Info tab. You select your tax year, and then you select your office if that applies, and then populate tax year. Once you click that, it's going to show you your 1099 entries, which will be all of your owners who have had rental income for that year, and your vendors that have that print 1099 box checked and have received payment of $600 or more during the year. Then you click the back button, which takes you back to the 1099 info screen, and you click Print Summary. Okay? The 1099 summary should always be reviewed prior to printing your 1099s or creating your media file. This is the 1099 summary. A couple things I want to talk about on this report to keep in mind is if you have an owner who has one owner profile and they own multiple properties assigned to that one profile, the amount shown here is going to be a combination of rental income for all the properties assigned to that owner. In the past, we've had some clients that have had owners that want a separate 1099 for each property, and you can do that. What you would need to do is create an owner profile, multiple owner profiles, and the example I have here is myself. I've created 3 owner profiles for myself, and I've applied one property to each of the profiles. So that way I have 3 separate 1099s created at the end of the year. Another thing to keep in mind here is that if the owner owns both short-term and long-term properties, and again, that's applied to the same owner profile, that rental income for both the long-term and short-term property will be combined in the amount here. Next thing you want to do is you want to pull your owner statements for December 2015, and you want to do a comparison of the rental income amount on the owner statement to the 1099 summary. So this amount that appears rental income year to date on the owner statement should match the amount that appears on the 1099 summary. A couple things to keep in mind here is if you, for example, use the owner referral marketing code, that may affect the owner statement comparing to the 1099, in that the way the owner referrals work is that when that owner referral marketing code is applied to a reservation, when that reservation distributes, the owner is charged the full commission, then the system gives back whatever the owner referral percentage is to the owner. So in that case, the management fees stay the full commission amount, and then the owner referral percentage is given back to the owner and displayed under other credits. And that is added to the rental income on the amount for the 1099. And the reason for that is when your owner is doing their taxes, they're going to be taking the management fee as an expense, and because this is the full commission and this is not accounting for the percentage given back to the owner, it's added back of your other credits and it is included in the rental income amount. When you're doing your review process, if you do find any discrepancies and you cannot locate the cause, please enter a help ticket and we'll be happy to assist you with that. We do have a new report this year that should help our clients with doing the review for the vendors. That report is located under Accounting Reports, and then down in the bottom right-hand corner, once you click on Reports, you'll have Reporting Services in red. You click on that, and that'll populate this screen here, and then you select Payable by User Batch. That's the name of the new report. So from here, this report's available to you at any time throughout the year. You can use that. I'm just going to go over how we're going to use it in the review process for your 1099s. So you'll want to enter your starting date, January 1st, 2015, ending date, the last day of the year. And the pay types, what we're looking at when we're doing the review is vendors and travel agents are what we're interested in, because the owners were doing the review compared to the owner statement. So once you select the pay type, we now have this box here for print 1099s. If you check that box and you pull the report, it's only going to display your vendors that have that print 1099 box checked on their vendor profile. The same for travel agents as well. So that makes it a little easier on our clients in that the report will not display all vendors, so including the vendors that do not receive a 1099, like travel insurance companies, tax agencies, etc. So this will whittle it down to just having your vendors that have that box checked on the profile. If you have any problems with locating the reporting services section within your admin console, please send in a help ticket and we'll be happy to take a look at that and help you out with that. This is the report that will display once you put in your information. So you'll see across the top your company name or the office and the dates that we pulled that report for. So this report is going to display, again, all vendors that have that print 1099 box checked. This report does include any voided checks. So you'll see ABC Plumbing had a voided check throughout the year. The way that this custom report differs from the stock payable by user report is that on the stock report, the voided payables or the voided check gets included in the grand total for that vendor, and then you have to subtract it. What we've changed here is that that's separate. So it's separating the voided grand total. So for ABC Plumbing, they had 2 active checks. So in the grand total, it shows 2 payments, which are these 2 checks here, made up of 3 payables for the total amount of $550. So that is the amount that should be showing on the 1099 summary, whatever the total is for the grand totals for that vendor. Something to keep in mind is that for vendors, they will only display or create a 1099 if the vendor was paid $600 or more during the year. And that information can be found on the IRS publication 1220. Okay. So if we come over here, this is the second page of that report. We have our next vendor. And I'm going to go over to the next slideshow, which is now on the third page of that same report. So here's the grand totals for this vendor, Michelle Smith, DBA Michelle's Cleaning. 2 payments in total, 21 payables totaling this amount. This amount here for the grand total should match the amount showing on your 1099 summary for that vendor. If there's any discrepancies and you're not sure where that's coming from, again, please enter a help ticket and we'll be happy to take a look at that with you. Okay. And again, you want to keep in mind, if you have a vendor set up with the print 1099 box checked, if they did not receive $600 or more during the year, they will not display on the 1099 summary. Next thing we want to talk about is the different options available under the 1099 record. So I've gone in and I've populated my tax year under Accounting 1099's. I selected my year, my office, and clicked Populate Tax Year. That gives me my 1099 entries here. If I select one of those entries and click Edit, then I can edit that 1099 entry. This is something that may be helpful for our newer clients in that they had one part of the year out of an old software or a different software and part of the year in VRM. So what you can do is add the rental income amount from the software that you used to use into with the rental income that owner received from VRM. The important thing if you edit a profile is you want to make sure that you approve that profile. If you do not approve the profile, you just click Save. If you go back in and repopulate the tax year, this is going to revert back to what the system calculated automatically just within the VRM system. Approving it saves that change that you've made. The next button I want to talk about is the Add button. This gives the users the ability to manually add a 1099 entry if necessary. Again, this is something that could be useful for our newer clients. If you have an owner or a vendor that did not receive any income out of the VRM system, but they did receive income out of the software that you came from, you can create a 1099 entry for that owner or vendor within the VRM system. And again, if you add an entry, you want to make sure that you approve that so that when you repopulate the tax year, that entry stays where it is. If you don't approve it, it will disappear. Okay. You want to make sure that you pull the appropriate reports and do the proper review of the owner/vendor information from your prior software used. Okay, a couple more buttons that we want to talk about on the 1099 entries. The first is delete. So this allows the end user to delete a 1099 entry if necessary. No need to panic if you accidentally select an entry and click that delete button. All you have to do is repopulate your tax year and the system will reload that 1099 entry. The next button is the flag button. This is available if, let's say, during your review process you find a discrepancy and you want to flag that entry to go back and do a more in-depth review of the owner's statement. Then you can flag that entry, and then we have this radio button here that if you select that, the system will only display any 1099 entries that have been flagged. So that way you know you need to go back and do further research on that entry. The last button, which I talked about a little bit on the previous slide, is the Approve button. That's very important in VRM. When a 1099 entry is approved, that means when you repopulate the tax year, the 1099 data will not be changed. So it saves any changes if you edit an entry or add a new entry. Once you've completed all of your reviewing of your owners and your vendors, all of your entries should be approved once you've completed everything and everything is good to go. We also have the last radio button here is pending approvals. So again, if you select that, that is just going to display any 1099 entries that have not yet been approved. All right, the next thing we want to talk about is owner referrals. We have a new feature in VRM. So I first want to talk about the way that it's always worked. So if that new feature is turned off, then the system works the way it has always worked in regard to how the owner referrals are reflected on the owner's statement. And the way that is when a reservation is made and the owner referral marketing code is used, the system charges the owner the full commission amount and then gives a percentage back. The way that the system works is that the management fee percentage here doesn't get reduced. So that's still accounting for the full commission amount. So we account for the owner referral percentage that's given back to the owner under other credits. And the combination of the other credits for the owner referral fee and the rental income is what will display as the amount on the 1099 summary. The new feature, when turned on, instead of the system keeping the management fee at the total percentage and displaying the money that goes back to the owner here, now it can reduce the management fees instead of keeping it as the full commission amount. The way the owner referral fee works as far as the reservation goes is it's exactly the same. When you select that owner referral marketing code, the owner will be charged the full commission, and then the system will give back whatever that owner referral percentage is to the owner. It's just the way it displays on the owner statement. With the new feature turned on, it reduces the management fees rather than adding that back as income. If you would like this new feature turned on, please send in a help ticket and let us know that you would like the owner referral new feature turned on. We do ask that you don't change that until you finish your 2015 1099s and before you send out your January owner statements. The reason is we don't want anything to change as far as what your owners have already received for 1099s, for owner statements for 2015, and if it displayed the way it always has. So we don't want to make that change until we've completed the 2015 1099s and prior to sending out the January owner statements. Once you have completed your review, your comparisons are good, everything is accurate and ready to go, then you can print your 1099s. And to do that, you go to Accounting, 1099s, 1099 Info tab. Again, you select your tax year and you select your office if that applies. Populate tax year, which will then show your list of your 1099 entries, and you click the back button and then click Print 1099. That will display, once you click Print 1099s, this is the first thing that you'll see, where you can adjust the margins before printing your 1099s. And I've added into this PowerPoint where you can find the documentation on the adjusting the margins. And that can be found in the knowledge base within our help desk. Once you click print 1099s, this is the way your 1099s will look. We have 2 to a page, just like the physical 1099 forms. We do suggest that you print the first page of the 1099s on a blank piece of paper and hold that up behind the physical 1099 form against the light just to see where you need to adjust your margins. So you can start with your margins set to 0 and check it against the form and just see what you need to adjust. And you can play around with the margins as you need. And again, every time that you change the margin, you populate the 1099, then you can just print that first page. And again, just hold it up against the physical form to the light and make sure everything aligns the way that you need it to. Unfortunately, we do not have a way to test all printers that are out there. So that's the reason that we put the adjusting margins in place to help our clients to adjust what they need to accommodate their printer. The last page of that 1099 PDF is your 1096. We suggest doing the same thing with the 1096. Print the last page of that 1099 PDF and hold that up against the light behind your physical 1096 form and make sure everything is aligned. Okay, and again, you can do that as many times as you need, adjusting the margins as you go. One thing that we want to talk about on the 1099 form is we populate automatically the information regarding your company. And one thing that we do not include is a checkbox for this 1099 miscellaneous box. So once you've printed your 1096, you just want to come and take an ink pen and check that box for 1099 miscellaneous, and it's box 95. The next thing we're going to talk about is electronic filing and creating your media file. One thing you want to make sure before you do anything here is you want to make sure your VRM site is set up to allow pop-ups or your pop-up blocker is turned off. So to do this, we again go to Accounting, 1099s, 1099 Info tab, select your tax year, your offices if it applies, populate tax year. That's going to bring up your information here, which at this point should all be approved because you've done the appropriate review, and then click the back button and create media file. And you just want before, again, it's really important before creating this file that you've reviewed all of your owner and vendor and travel agent information, that it's accurate for what you're sending to the IRS. Once you have created that media file, this is what will show up. And I tested saving this media file using Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, and Firefox, and have included the steps that I took to save this as a text file. So within Google Chrome, you just right-click anywhere on the file and then click Save As. Internet Explorer, you should have the File button in the toolbar and then click Save As. And Firefox is the same. The file, you click on File in the toolbar and then Save Page As. For Windows 10, you'll have to copy and paste the information that populates on the PDF and put that into Notepad and then save that from Notepad as a text file. And the last screen here is just a couple reminders. For foreign owners that receive 1042s, those are not printed out of the VRM system. So any foreign owners that you have that require a 1042 form must be completed by hand. The second thing is the IRS has removed 2 more states from the combined federal state filing program. VRM is set up to just allow combined federal and state filing for the states listed on this screen. Okay, these are the participating states, and this comes right from that IRS publication 1220. So this is the only state that VRM has set up for that combined federal state filing program.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much, Michelle. That was super informative, and I've learned a lot just watching this webinar. So I want to just take a moment and ask you a couple of questions that came in while you were talking, and just, answer them as best as you can. And if anybody watching the recording has any, further questions, then they can always email at help@vrmgr.com and get answers. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay,
That'll
perfect.
come right into our help desk.
Awesome. All right. Well, the first question that we have is actually from Steve, and he says, when the owner referral option is turned off by default, how does that affect the amount that's reported to the IRS for management fees?
So when that new feature is turned off, the system works as it always has, in that the way that the owner referral fee is accounted for is on the owner statement, and what affects the 1099 is that the full commission is charged to the owner, and then the percentage that is given back to the owner for that owner referral fee is added to other credits. And then the other credits plus the rental income will match the amount that shows on the 1099. The reason for that is the full commission percentage is still being included in the management fee year-to-date amount on your owner statement. So when they go to do their taxes and they take that full amount as an expense, they'll be taking the full commission when they actually got part of that money back. So that's the way that the system has always worked regarding owner referrals. It adds it back into other credits, which gets included in the 1099 amount.
Perfect. Okay, so Steve just wanted to know, is it better to set that new feature to on?
We think that has been, this is something that clients have brought up in the past, so this is why we put this in place. So yes, I think it works better. It's a little easier for your owners to understand. We do ask that you complete your 1099s for 2015 because we don't want anything to change for what all your owner statements that your owners have received for 2015. And then prior to closing out, sending owner statements for January 2016, just send us in a help ticket and we'll be happy to turn that on for you. And then going forward, any owner referrals, instead of keeping the management fee as the full percentage and adding the owner referral percentage back as under other credits, the system will just reduce the management fee by whatever the owner referral percentage is.
Awesome. Okay, we have a question from Yasmin, and it says, in regards to vendors, I know that companies and corporations do not receive 1099s, but can you clarify as to whether or not an LLC does?
For that question, I would refer you to your company accountant. All I can say is, from my understanding, they would not receive a 1099, but I'm not a tax expert. So we would refer you to your company accountant or the IRS for that question.
Perfect. All right, and we have Linda asked, which box do we check manually on the 1096 again?
That is the 1099 miscellaneous box, and it's number 95.
Perfect. And you have to pay attention to where that is on that form because you said it moves around from time to time, right?
Yes, that has actually, the IRS has moved that box over the last few years. Every year it moves somewhere different on that form.
Okay, so it's really good to pay attention and make sure that you're checking the correct box there. Good question.
Yes, because next year it may not be in the same location.
Exactly. Okay, and our last question actually comes from Kristen, and she said, I'm not clear as to what you mean by foreign owners. I have an owner that lives in Germany, so what do I need to do for them?
My understanding of a foreign owner is it's someone who is not an American citizen. They do not have a social security number. It's not an American citizen that's necessarily living in another country. It's someone who does not have a social security number and they were born somewhere else, or that's a foreign owner. The If you have any questions, additional questions about that, we would refer you to your company accountant or the IRS. They do have publications on all their forms, so you could Google the IRS publication for 1042s to get an answer on that.
Perfect. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on with us today, Michelle. I'm just so glad to have had you talking about 1099s and adding a little bit of clarity to our clients' process of getting taxes finished and everything. And for everybody listening to the recording, if you do have additional questions, you can always email help@vrmgr.com, and our support staff is we are available to help you answer your questions and make sure that you get the answers you need. I'm actually going to have Michelle flip to the next slide so I can tell you guys about something really exciting. Next month, I have Maureen Reagan, who is actually a vacation rental manager, author of The Vacation Rental Game, and president-elect of the VRMA. She's a very busy woman, but she has agreed so graciously to come on and talk with me next month on how to make sure homeowners always choose you. And she's just going to kind of give us a little bit of her veteran experience being in the vacation rental industry for so long. She's going to give us some of her experience on how to really give homeowners confidence that they made the right decision with going with a vacation rental manager, but also that that they're feeling like a connection with you and things like that. So she has got some really awesome war stories that she can tell us, some really funny anecdotes and things like that. So please don't miss out on that. If you want to register for that, all you need to go is virtualresortmanager.com/tea with Brittany Lea. And you can find how to register on our website there and just get signed up. And if you're not able to make the time, no problem. If you just click to register anyway and you fill in your information, then you will get a recording of the webinar sent to you the very next day after we have a chance to get it up. Or you can check my blog. Fridays, we do a blog on virtualresortmanager.com/blog, and that's always got some great information on it as well. So I just want to say thank you again to everybody for coming out today. I really appreciate you all taking the time to watch this webinar, and I want to say thank you again to Michelle for taking time out of your busy schedule to help us be more prepared for tax season. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Brittany.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.